Welcome everybody to another NBL Now mid-season review. We're all about breaking down each team throughout the FIBA break, and today it's all about the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. And there's only one man we want to talk to when we talk about the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, because he dominated for them while he was here. He's a fan favourite around the league. We hope to see him back sooner rather than later. Alan Big Sauce Williams, welcome back to NBL Now, mate. How you been?
I'm doing great, Pete. Appreciate you having me on again. Shout out to all the great NBL fans out there. Hope everybody's doing well, and I hope their team's doing all right.
Some teams are up and down, so we'll talk a lot about that because, again, this is all about the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. But before we get into it, how are you going? I've seen some things that on Twitter. We see some highlights that back to the double-double standard that we know from Big Sauce. It looks like things are going all right over there in Korea.
Yeah, everything's going smooth. We're currently right in the middle of the pack of the league. It's a 10-team league similar to the NBL, so we're right in the thick of things, and hopefully next round is a good one for us, and we're able to get a lot of wins before the new year.
And the interesting thing about being in Korea right now is that this weekend as well, the Australian Boomers are coming to town as part of the Asia Cup qualification, which is unique for someone because you know nearly every single one of those Boomers guys. You played against them.
Yeah, when I saw the roster come out, I was like, dang, I definitely I've played against the majority of that group, and to get a chance to be able to see them live and go against some really good Korean talent that I've been able to play against here in the KBL is it's going to be a real treat, and I'm looking forward to getting to the game. It's actually at the home gym in which my team currently plays at, so I'm pretty sure I can get a good ticket.
I would hope so. I think if anybody can, it's you, Big Sauce.
For sure.
But that's
sure.
Cool. It's cool how that works out, right? You talk about basketball,
right?
It's a small community around the world. The fact that the players you used to go against every single day are literally going to be on the home court, or you're playing somewhere else in the world.
Yeah, hopefully they look up because we have our banners, our face banners hanging from the gym. So when DJ gets up there and shoots a three or something like that, he can look up to the stands or look up to the rafters and see my big mug hanging from there. So it'll be kind of crazy.
It's a cool moment for sure. All right, let's get stuck into it. The Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. We'll talk all about them. Probably the one team in the league that's had the lowest of lows. They've had a lot of change, and they've also dealt with a complete swing in their season thus far. Looking back through the first 9 rounds, what's the biggest positive, the biggest takeaway from the Phoenix so far?
I think the biggest positive from the Phoenix right now is just the fact that they have some time left. You know, I think they got a new head coach in there, and they obviously have a bunch of talent on the offensive end. I think time is their friend, and the fact that they're able to have this FIBA break now to really allow Josh King's emphasis and new things to be put in, kind of like a mini training camp that he didn't get at the beginning of the season. At this point in time, it's going to be really beneficial for them moving forward, and I think that they're looking forward to playing some better basketball ahead.
It's interesting because, again, a lot of fans don't actually get to fully understand what that would be like when you've got a new coach with a team that you've had no idea who was picked for why they were picked, and you've had your own style in the past. To come in mid-season, you really can't implement your own style too much. You've just got to try and get little pieces across. So, as you said, this FIBA break couldn't come at a better time for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Yeah, I think too, Pete, it obviously depends on the caliber of players you have. Obviously, if you're dealing with some vets, older guys who have been around the world and played around the world like the Phoenix have, you have a good opportunity to be able to implement more of that system because it's probably similar to somewhere they've played around the world before. And so I think when you got a guy like Nathan Sobey, Derek Walton Jr., guys like that who have been around the block for a while and have seen a lot, it's going to bode really well for them to really step up vocally in a leadership position to be able to grasp whatever the new coach is throwing out there. So
this might be an easy one to answer then because of everything that's gone on with the Phoenix so far through 9 rounds. But what has been their biggest challenge through this first part of the season in your eyes?
I think it's just a simple thing, and this is kind of an ambiguous term, but it's flow. I just feel like the games that they haven't played well early on in the season, they just didn't have any kind of flow, whether that be offensively, whether that be defensively. I just felt like the pieces were out there and they just didn't fit and mesh well together. Now, in these past couple of games, I've seen that flow come about more, and they've been in a lot more games and won, obviously, more games than they did at the beginning of the season. And so I'm really, really keen on seeing how that flow continues with the new head coach and new system, and then the health of Derek Walton Jr. coming back into the fold. And so I'm really excited for this latter part of the season for these guys.
You've played professionally all around the world, Source. You've played for a very long time. Firstly, have you been part of a team that's had a coaching change or a significant, let's say, office change or maybe even personnel change for playing group during a year and having to try and figure things out?
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, actually, my first year in Russia, we had 3 head coaches in one season. And so it was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts. And eventually we landed on a guy that I felt like was probably the best for the group that we had. And we found a lot of success. Obviously, that year was the year before COVID happened, so we were in a shortened season, but we were really flowing and rolling after we had that final coaching change. So sometimes it's necessary just to switch up the energy, just to switch up the vibes, and I think the Phoenix are in a good position now moving forward with a coach that looks like is going to be there for an extended period of time, that wants to continue to grow and build what guys like Tommy Greer and Simon Mitchell have come to start and build up with the Phoenix. And so, yeah, just think that good things are on the horizon for those guys.
Has it impressed you more having gone through something similar, looking from the outside and seeing the players buy into? First, it was Sam McKinnon who took over as an interim, then Josh King coming in. And since Sam McKinnon took over, and there's been no dip, they've really just turned a direction. They've come together and they look like a completely new team from the first 5 games.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily surprising. I think sometimes when it's not working really well, and it kind of didn't work well at the end of the season last year, and it was just kind of like jumbled. We were trying to just get through that last part of the season, and then to start as poorly as they did at the beginning of this. Sometimes just that fresh change coming about just brings a new energy and new life. And I think obviously when you're dealing with the Phoenix fans, like they're probably the best fans in the NBL, obviously, in my opinion. They're really welcoming, really receptive, really supportive. And so that push that the fans have given throughout the whole season, even when you started off so poorly, really probably gave a lot of new life once the new coach came in and that freshness came about.
Yeah, and we can see that, and that's why they've taken some big wins so far. And I don't think they've scratched the surface of what they're capable of. But again, at this point in the FIBA break, what's your biggest surprise from the season so far, whether that's something that's happened on the floor or an individual that's really stood out to you in a surprise way?
Yeah, just with the Phoenix specifically? Yeah, I think, wouldn't say it's surprise necessarily, but I'm really, really happy to see Matt Hurt really fitting in well in the NBL. I think his game translates. He's one of those guys where I feel he'd be successful in any league that he played in just because his skill set is just out of this world. He's super tall, he's long, finishes well around the basket. Obviously, his jump shot is money. 3-level scorer from what it looks like in the NBL this year. And so I think the NBL is really fortunate to have a guy like him. I think he's one of those guys that is going to have his options at the end of the year. But at the end of the day, I think that the flow and the pace of the game in the NBL really bodes well to how he plays, and he could have a really successful career in a league like this if he doesn't go back to the NBA later.
This is probably an easy then segue for that. The team MVP at this point through the season. It's probably hard to go past Matt Hurt, so maybe I'll ask you this. Is there any other individual that you've been impressed with the most besides Matt Hurt, or has he just been that good that he's the clear standout?
I think since the coaching change came about, you got to put Gus in there. You know what I'm saying? Angus Glover is just he's shooting at a high level. He seems more confident. He seems like himself and the guy that they thought they were going to get when they brought him in this offseason. And so just to see his success, obviously everything he's battled with and gone through, whether that be injuries, whether that be not having a bunch of playing time playing in Sydney last year, just really cool to see him really be successful in this period of time, and hopefully that can continue for him because he's one of the hardest working guys that I've seen around in the league.
Yeah, spot on. And again, I think every NBL fan loves seeing him achieve what everybody knows is possible. We saw it in the grand final series in Game 5, the heroics playing through injury. But has it impressed you the most when we never want to see key players injured and sidelined, but what it does normally represent is an opportunity and a silver lining for guys to step in and get extended opportunity. That happened when Glover got put in the starting lineup when Derek Walton Jr. got hurt. It's one thing to get the opportunity. It's another to be ready for it and take it with both hands. And he did that from the moment he was thrown in the starting lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell guys, especially young guys, if you're in a professional situation, if you're on a professional team, you're going to get a chance. It may not be day one, it may not be day 10, but you're going to have an opportunity. So it's on you to always stay ready and be prepared when that opportunity comes about. And so you got to work hard. You got to put in those hours, and you have to just keep your head down and understand that even if the minutes don't come early, they don't come late, at some point you're going to get that shot, and you got to make sure you take advantage of it.
Geez, I thought you had a future in media source. Maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a GM, maybe you could do it all, man. It's very well said what you just said.
I appreciate that. I'm just trying to be like you, Pete, when I grow up, man. Just a jack of all trades.
I appreciate you. I'll pay your invoice later for that nice words. What do we need to see from the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix in this back half of the season?
You got to see the defensive mentality that you've seen these last 5 or 6 games. You have to see that. In order for them to make the playoffs, to make the finals and have success in that, they're going to have to be really locked in on the defensive side of the ball. That's pressuring full court. That's understanding your tags and all those things that they're trying to implement and create there. And so I think that if they can keep that emphasis on the defensive side, I think they're going to put enough baskets to be in any game because they got a bunch of players that can score the basketball. So defensively, where they're gonna find success or not, and so hopefully they can get down in a stance and guard somebody.
With all that being said, and again, I think it's the beauty of the play-in tournament where a team that starts 0-5, if years gone by when you've got to try and make it to a top 4, your season's probably over at 0-5, just thinking about how high you have to get to. But also the parity of the league, everybody seems to be beating everybody. If you make it to the top 6, anything can happen if you're playing your best basketball by late February.
Anything can happen, especially with the caliber of players that the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix have. It's like you get Matt Hurt in a game, in a playing game, he can go off for 40. And in the next round, you can have Derek Walton go off for 50. And then you can have Nathan Sobey go off. And so they just have all these options and pieces. It's just about finding enough wins to put them in that position so that they can make a play-in tournament.
Well, with all that, mid-season report grade, give us a grade A, B, C, D, plus, minus for the Phoenix after 9 rounds.
I think it's C+. I think it's trending in the right direction. That plus is the sign for me that it is trending in the right direction. And again, I'm very excited. I know the Phoenix fans are extremely excited about this next phase of the season. And I just think that if they can lock in defensively and really buy into Coach King's system that they have there, they'll have a chance to really make some noise. And also, got to give a massive shout out to Sammy Mack. Stepped in tough times, got a big throwdown dub. Obviously brought some new life to that squad. So massive shout out to Sammy Mack, and hopefully he gets a head coaching opportunity sometime in the near future.
Well, on that, we can't let that go because I think everybody here around the league in Australia believes that the next open head coaching role should be Sam McKinnon, and you understand everything that he can bring, and you probably agree with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I love the staff. I love when I was there. Obviously, you had Sammy Mack there, Mike Kelly was there, and then you got Luke Brennan there as an assistant coach as well, who I think is a tremendous basketball mind. Obviously, saw a lot of success with the Ballarat Miners in the NBL 1 South this last season. So they got some heat over there with the Phoenix, and hopefully those guys get a shot to run their own squad here pretty soon.
And hopefully that squad in the NBL involves you, Big Sauce. I'm going to keep throwing it out there. We're going to keep pushing it. We're going to get you back here sooner rather than later. Before I let you go, the NBL has announced for the first time the NBL Summer Shootout, which is an incentive for teams to pick an opposition in an away game in January to run up the score, the highest points scored in a game that they have selected in a certain opponent. It's going to win $50K for the team, and a lucky fan gets the chance to win $100,000 if they get it right. Now, Sauce, you've been playing professional basketball for a very long time. If a league comes to you and says there's money on the line for you to score as many points as you can in a game, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Money's one of the best motivators that you can have as a professional, man. Like, you always want to get that bag whenever you get a chance. And so I think it's a super cool initiative done by the NBL this season to keep that buzz afloat and to keep everybody engaged and excited. And I know the guys that are out there playing are going to be trying to do their best to put as many points on the board as possible. I also think it's a really cool thing that the guys are kind of calling their shot. It's like, you know what? We think we're going to do it against this team. Obviously, that team's going to hear it. There's going to be some grit, some grind along with it. Like, I know if I'm on the opposing team, I'm not trying to let them run that score up on me. So, and then obviously that money definitely goes a long way. And it probably is getting put to a lot of guys Silly Sunday or Mad Monday at the end of the season. So look out for that.
It's a very good point. But again, on that, only you can really talk about certain venues or whatever, or certain away teams that would be great to play against. Two teams picked going down to Tassie and scoring the most they can in January. You've played in Tassie. You know what they do defensively. Does that shock you?
I mean, kind of like you want to be afraid of the island because you know how wild and crazy that gets. But I seem to remember last year on Christmas, everybody was kind of picking us to not be able to make that happen, and somehow we did. So maybe they saw the highlights from last year and kind of felt like they was going to be able to do it. But I know the Jack Jumpers are going to come with it and definitely try their best to defend that island.
Well, I didn't realize I was walking into my own trap there because you chirped me and Felix von Hoff there down in Christmas after that game.
I remember that. It was you and Felix.
And again, you proved us wrong, as you so often do. Source, it's always great to catch up, mate. We love hearing that your season's going well. Thank you so much for this. And hopefully, again, one of these chats is going to be in person when eventually you're back here in Australia.
I'm looking forward to it, Pete. I appreciate you having me on, my man.